Let's continue the conversation on the rescue efforts in Stilfontein. We're joined in studio by artisanal mining expert Khotatso Ntlengetwa, while on our video link we have Association of Mine Workers and Construction Unions Christa Janse van Rensburg and Stilfontein community leader Johannes Kangase. Good evening. Thanks very much to all of you for being part of this conversation. I'm going to start with you. You saw the events today and yesterday, bigger numbers of people being brought to the surface. Just your thoughts as you, alongside many South Africans, witness this and happening now, something that people have been calling for a very long time, and we can see why.
Yeah. Good evening, Vuyo, and thanks for having me in studio tonight. As somebody who's been practicing and researching in this artisanal mining space for close to 13 years now, I figure that this is something that has come to where the camel's back has been broken. The reason why now we're seeing mine rescue efforts is because there's been such media coverage on it. There's been many instances where we have seen artisanal miners stuck under the ground, or Zama miners in this case, I should say, because they're not necessarily the same thing. But there hasn't been any media coverage yet. Us researchers have been called on the ground. So the media is actually playing a part in actually bringing, a change in perspective of what should be done. The rescue mission is something that should have been done a long time ago, according to my perspective. And it's something that also we need to realize we're at the bottom level here. We're looking at the illegal miner who is being exploited. We need to go up a few levels. We need to look at the levels of who are the middlemen who are getting this gold from the exploited illegal miners and sending it overseas. And also, who are those people overseas who are buying this illegal gold? Because we need to nip the bud exactly where it's the problem. Because the problem is not these illegal miners. They might be arrested tomorrow, indicted and taken to jail, or maybe even sent back to their respective countries. But believe me, hundreds more will be trafficked back again.
Christa, just your thoughts as you've been witnessing the efforts of today and yesterday.
Yes, no, thank you, Vuyo. We are really saddened. You remember our president, Joseph Matunjwa, was quite vocal about this from the beginning. It's something that's really difficult for us as a stakeholder in the mining industry. Because as my comrade said earlier, you need to go a level up. This is truly at the level of policy gaps. There's a serious policy gap when one looks at the way that mining licenses are dealt with. The fact that this mine was closed, I'm sure you've done your research. When it was closed in 2013, it was estimated that no less than $30 billion worth of deposits were still underground. And we must remember these workers know this. And they have the skills to get it out. And they are retrenched without work. They are left at home, as my colleague said earlier. And what do you expect them to do? So it is something I really think it's not something we can blame on these particular people, even though we do condemn any criminal act. But let's be honest. It is government, the regulator, needs to step up to the plate.
Johannes, what we've seen today and what we saw yesterday is something that you've been calling for the longest time. Okay, it would seem we have lost Johannes there, Khotatso. These communities have been calling for what we're seeing, what we saw today, what we saw yesterday, for a very long time.
For sure.
Now, we're seeing so many people dead, bodies being brought to the surface, something that could have been avoided.
Most definitely. This could have been avoided if the call was heeded in the beginning. Because the exploited illegal miners, even from the very beginning who came up, were telling of the dire situation that is underground. But they were falling on deaf ears. It almost as if it had to come to crisis point before reaction took place. Now, the question I'm asking is, when are we going to have a proactive approach? When are we going to have an approach where we don't react to miners being trapped underground? Instead, where we have policy that is not only written up, but that is implemented, and not implemented in 2025 where it was gazetted in 2022. How about we have some strategic guidelines to begin with, followed by a bill or an act, so that artisanal miners that are willing to get legal can have artisanal mining zones to mine, and those illegal Zamazama miners that are willing to cross over into the formal economy can do so. This is what I call in my paper partial formalization, where you add an area that can be formalized. And in my research, we have found that 80% of illegal Zamazama miners are willing to cross over to a formal sector if it is created.
Johannes, I was asking before we lost you that you've been calling for what we are seeing now for a very long time as community leaders.
No, thank you very much, Bravo. Yes, we are correct. We've been calling for the assistance for a long time, because now we are finding ourselves in a situation whereby even now we are still in the shaft. We have received 51 bodies today only. 51 bodies and 75 alive people in a bad state. If ever this help has come on time, like the first time we held our meeting on the 21st of October last year, we should have saved these people a long time ago. This chapter should have been closed by now. But now it fell on the deaf ears of our government. They wanted to see, or maybe they wanted to hear from the court that assist these people, because we've been trying to tell them that assist these people. People are dying underground. People are dying out of starvation underground. That has been our message from the inception of the program, because we are only the ones who went to them, to the government, and say, government, there are families that are crying that their kids are underground, are dying. If ever they brought this mine rescue team on time, we should have saved a lot of lives. We should not have seen this body piling up. You cannot have 109 people who have died. So simply someone must account for them.
Our first caller is Moses, who is calling from Delmas. Moses?
Hi, Vuyo. How are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you, sir.
Great, and your colleagues. Yeah, no, Vuyo, look, this rescue team that we see there at Stilfontein, to be honest, that team was supposed to be brought there a long time ago. And if you have a government that cares about its people, if you look at the holiday during this December holidays, this operation was stopped. And you ask yourself, if you are talking about lives of our people that were trapped under this shaft, and people just stop all this operation and we go on holidays, and then we come back in January, we behave as if this is an urgent matter. Our government did not care about these people from day one. When you heard the Minister Chavene, when he spoke about these people, that they are going to smoke them out, you are talking about somebody who doesn't even understand the mining, what's happening there. And from day one, when we heard about this incident, these people, they said they can't find the owners of this mine. All of a sudden, the owners are found there somewhere there now. Those people are supposed to carry the cost of removing all these people that are underground. Why? Because they are responsible for that operation, because they were supposed to make sure when they leave there, everything is safe. Where's DMR? We don't see DMR there. And if you can go to Northwest, I can guarantee you that DMR at Northwest, it's useless for me. Those people, I can tell you, even if you can talk to them, they don't know what is happening there.
Moses there in Delmas. This conversation, of course, continues. You too can also call us and tell us what you think as you witness those scenes in Stilfontein. This conversation continues right after this short break. I believe we have another caller, Sillo from Mafefe in Limpopo. Sillo, a very good evening to you.
Good evening. How are you, Vuyo?
I'm very well, thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Vuyo. I'm very much disappointed from where I'm sitting about our government, especially the government of national unity, because it shows clearly that this is caring government that doesn't care about the well-being of our people. We understand that those people are involved in criminal activities, but the reality here is that we must save lives, and save lives, make sure that you arrest those people so that they account for their criminal activities. But to say you're going to smoke them out, that's why now there is a lot of fatalities underground. If the government were serious about saving their lives, many people have been alive right now. But how many people have died underground? How many people are sick now? Very sick. The situation is dire underground because of the uncaring government of the GNU, where we are supposed that they were going to rescue those people. Now we must thank the people of Stilfontein for volunteering to make sure that they rescue those people, they make sure that they save lives, the lives of Sanko there and other movements that were prepared to really save the lives of the people there.
Sinlo, thank you very much for your contribution. I mean, given what people have been saying on the ground, Johannes, these two callers are actually echoing the sentiments of people like you and everyone else who's been part of this effort from day one, isn't it?
Yes, bravo, they are correct. They are correct because our constitution is very clear. That's what we've been telling ministers, we've been telling all government officials, that South Africa is a good constitution, that South Africa belongs to everyone who lives in it. We are not promoting any act of criminality, but we are just saying a human being is a human being, regardless of a nationality. Those people who are calling illegal immigrants, it was not our responsibility for us to go and stand the borders to stop them from coming in. It shows that our government has failed decimally in most of the departments. Because if people they come to the country illegal, it's the responsibility of Border Management Act to see how best they can assist that situation. But when they are here, we are living in a poverty-stricken location, which is called Kuma. We've been living with these people for many years. But now, why do you let a human being die like a dog? If you can check, Bravo, what we have retrieved today, you could see those people, they were nearly dying. You could see that it was just a flesh on top of a bone. We retrieved 51 bodies, and we anticipate more than 200 bodies. People who have died because our government turned a blind eye on them. The other correct is correct. That's what we've been preaching from day one. Let's save them, process them accordingly as the law enforcement agents. We don't have a problem with them. But at the end of the day, just save a life. Even criminals, people who have been sentenced to many years, they have access to food, they have access to water, they even have access to education. How about these ones? Why you call them criminals while they're still underground, whereby we haven't processed them through the court of law? Yet today the government comes, they want us to praise them that, no, thank you very much for the machine. But those machines, they kept, it was long overdue for those machines to come. But at the end of the day, we must save those people.
Krista, why do you think the government has adopted the attitude that it has?
I think it's a knee-jerk reaction, Vuyo. I think it's a failure to recognize, or perhaps fear to recognize, how they've been negligent. You might know in labor law, negligence is a form of misconduct. It's not just a form of incapacity. So our government is highly and deeply negligent. As Mr. Johannes was saying, it makes me think of parents who go away and leave their children at home alone. That is how our government is running this country. They don't care about the people, they are uncaring. They let anybody come into the country, they let anybody do what they want. And the only bosses they listen to are the big mining companies. And that's why, as my colleague said earlier, artisanal mining is being avoided. Because artisanal miners would never bribe them enough. They want big bribes from big companies, they want big kickbacks, and that is why they want to avoid looking at ways to get this 30 billion rand, not rand, US dollars, out of the ground. I mean, why must it lie there? It's clear. The people, it belongs to the people. The minerals belong to the people. Who does it belong to? To VMR, to Village Main Reef, who holds the license, I see. I think it's completely unfair. And just to repeat my answer to your question, our government does not want to face the facts. They like to be loud. They like to be looking like as if they're doing something. But in fact, they are negligent.
Kgothatso, Mineral Resources Minister Gwede Mantashe says, stop all these things that you say. They are dealing with criminals here, period.
You know, Vuyo, I'm about to be a bit controversial right now. And the findings that we have is that the people that are high up in the hierarchy, some are political influencers, some are corporates, and some are bankers. And these people are the ones that are elites, that are gaining from illegal mining. So if you say, no, let's leave it, who is the person who's going to keep on gaining because it's going to carry on? Because then we don't look up the corporates. We don't look up the bankers. We don't look up where the gold goes. And that is the problem that is going on. And another thing is that the Zama miner is being exploited. They are being exploited because they are poor immigrants who are brought into the country with the promise of work. Then they get into this poverty trap of saying, at least I've got something. It's better than nothing, even though they know that they're in the syndicate. So it's not good enough for him to say, let's leave it. What he should be saying, as the minister is saying, let us create an alternative avenue. Tanzania is doing it. Zimbabwe is starting to do it. Zambia is starting to do it. What's stopping South Africa from doing it? If you want examples, they are there in the African continent. We're going to the MI25 right now, the mining in Durban. The artisanal miners are going to be speaking there. I'm going to be representing them. Come to the Indaba. Let us speak critically about artisanal mining. Time for fun and games and knee-jerk reactions and negligence is over, because artisanal miners and illegal mining is not going anywhere.
But then, what guarantees do we have that mining in Indaba or people won't come there, make speeches and leave, and then the situation stays the same?
You know, even though they'll have speeches, but at least for once the artisanal miners will have a voice in spaces where they didn't. And I think we're taking baby steps here, and we celebrate every tiny victory, because the artisanal miners have never even had a voice at such places. So at least if we have a voice for artisanal miners, even though they may want to turn a deaf ear, there'll be global leaders there who can be able to say, we heard the artisanal miners in South Africa speak up for themselves. And that is what we want. We want to be the voice for the voiceless, because it's been 3 years since the artisanal and small-scale mining policy came out, and still nothing happening. Pure negligence. Pure negligence.
Let's hear now from Joel in Pretoria. Joel, your thoughts?
Good evening, Vuyo, and good evening to your guests there as well. I just want to bring a different perspective here, Vuyo. I've been following this case ever since it came through, particularly your guys' feeds on social media. And I think the perspective that majority of the South African took here, and together with the government, was that, this is an act of criminality, and, these people must be taken out. Why is government taking so long? And I think the career part was actually neglected by the majority of the people. It's just interesting now how things change, or the perspective of the majority of the South African change, when now I think the severity has been exposed of how many people are there, how many bodies are actually there, and how bad the situation it is actually there. So it's just something that perhaps you can also consider to bring the people that actually analyze the social media comments and how people actually react. And I think we must all just admit to this, me particularly included as well, to say at the beginning I also didn't give it, show that side of me that say, no man, let's the humanity part. It's just interesting how things have suddenly changed when the severity of the issue has just been exposed. I just thought I should bring that into the conversation as well. Thanks a lot for you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, Joel. Let's hear from Abonga in Stellenbosch. Abonga, good evening to you.
Good evening, Rio, and your viewers at home. Yes, I just want to echo on top of the other viewers that have already spoken. More emphasis to be put about the incompetency of our government in handling and dealing with this situation. Because as I believe that from the inception, there were a lot of factors that the government should have considered, because even the illegal mining, as they term, some of the people are participating because of the hunger, which is something that they neglect when they consider the things. Because as you heard from the minister and the president saying that they can assist the criminals in retrieving from that situation, but they lack to understand how the people ended up there. Because for a hunger person, an opportunity, try to get something on the table. So now I believe this started. But then...
Okay, it seems we...
Good evening, Buyo, and your viewers, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thanks, and how are you? Who are we speaking to now?
Yes, I can hear now.
Okay. Please go ahead. What do you have to say, Abonga? Okay, we seem to have lost... Okay, we seem to... Okay, looks like the lines are a bit problematic. We have some crossed lines there. But if you have just joined us, we're talking about the rescue efforts we're seeing in Stilfontein, which have picked up pace following, of course, the arrival of that big resourced team that started with the rescue operation yesterday. And we're seeing larger numbers, record numbers of people being brought to the surface, including, of course, lots of dead people. This conversation continues in a moment. Don't go away. We'll continue with the conversation on the rescue efforts currently going on in Stilfontein. And we are now joined from Stilfontein by Zanele. Zanele,
hello.
I've got a good evening to you. Yes.
Evening. You're speaking to Zanele from Northwest Province in Stilfontein.
Yes.
Can I make a comment?
Please.
According to my view, the government is not liable for what is happening. What happened from the beginning? The government requested those illegal miners to resurface, and they never wanted to do so. So, according to my view, the same way those people entered underground is the same way that they could have used to come out, and they could have taken advantage the time the government wanted them to resurface. They could have came out. They kept on sending the letters requesting for the mayonnaise and everything. They could have requested for something better. They kept on requesting for food and everything, and the community was also helping them so that the food can be sent. They could have just asked the government to go and take those people out as the government is currently acting. My view is what the government was supposed to do, they were supposed to ask the nearby company, which is OMV, to go and seal that mine so that those people can stay there, because there is someone out there who is enjoying the aircon in their home, waiting for the money which those people are doing underground there.
Thank you very much for your contribution. I don't know, Johannes, whether you want to speak to some of the issues that Zanele is raising there.
No, thank you very much. I think Zanele, she speaks from the point of she's not well informed. But I don't understand. Maybe she's not a parent. If ever she was a mother who had kids or who had family members who face this situation that we are facing here, this child should not be uttering these words that she's uttering. You cannot say OMV as a concrete company must come and seal and kill. You are saying it must create a mass grave for people. It's inhumanity, whatever she's saying. It's inhuman. You cannot say that to another human being. Regardless of, we've been speaking to the government ourselves from day one as the community leaders. So some people, they will just talk for the sake of talking. They will just speak for the sake of speaking. It's very painful. Her statement is the same a statement as the ministry, the president, that will smoke them out. You cannot just kill people. You cannot just create a mass grave of people, just throw the concrete and say, we bury them alive. But at the end of the day, the government is listening, whether someone like it or not. But at the end of the day, our word was heard, regardless it was heard late. But at the end of the day, the families, they will be able to bury their loved ones. They will be able to take care of their children. Because at the end of the day, those are the human beings. Those are human beings. Those are not animals. Even animals in this country that we are living in, everyone has the right. So since Daniel, maybe as time goes by, she will change her mindset as time goes by. I don't know, Bravo.
Krista, what will your union, what are the views that your union will be taking to the mining indaba on this particular matter?
To add what I said earlier, what we find in our country, sadly, is a state that has become the hand puppet of industry, of big money, or big capital, as we like to call it. It's so clear to me and to us as a union. If you look at Lily Mine, for instance, it's almost, how many years now? 9 years. That 3 mine workers are trapped underground, but no money was spent on that. How many millions have we spent here at Stilfontein? And not to rescue people. Remember, it started with closing the hole. So the money is spent when the mining bosses want to protect their assets. Yes, then government has millions and billions to spend. But when we need people to be retrieved, as Comrade Johannes is saying, people, when we need to be humane, when we need to be humans, when we need to serve each other, then they know where to be found. It sounds like Marikana. You remember, Vuyo?
Yes.
In Marikana, workers protesting legally for a living wage were called criminals immediately. Now again, we are calling people who are trying to make a livelihood in circumstances not created by them. It's so easy just to call them criminals, and it's not that simple. As all of the panelists told you tonight, it's not that simple. It's simply not that simple. So we need to be able to articulate to government that they need to change their priorities. They need to be reminded, as we have told Minister Mantashe a few times, that they are the regulator. They are like the referee. They cannot play the game or favor one of the teams in this game that we call society. And that is the message, that's the clarion call that will come from AMCU and will still continue coming from AMCU moving forward.
You are nodding, Kgothatso, as Krista was talking.
Yeah, I'm nodding because I agree with him on many points. The first point I agree with him is that we need to have a form of compassion here. Let us understand that illegal miners, Zama miners, the men and sometimes in some cases women that go underground are not going because they want to. They're going because they have to. You understand? And because of that, we need to understand that it is a need, not a want. That's the first thing. So we need to have humanity. Ubuntu, which is what us as South Africans are usually so proud to say we have. Second of all, the government itself must understand that the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is mandated to be the regulator. That's the second point where I agree with him. They're supposed to have capacity to implement their own policies, their own acts, their own mine health and safety. For example, mine closure is supposed to be regulated by the Department of Mineral Resources. But how many mining companies have abandoned mines without proper mine closure, without proper rehabilitation? And kickbacks have gone where? To the actual Department of Mineral Resources people themselves. So this is the problem that we're having, is that the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is not playing the part they're mandated to. And if you ask them why, they remain mum.
Let's hear from Matthew in Johannesburg.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, very well, thank you, Matthew. Please go ahead.
Great. All of my fingers are pointing to the government. Firstly, the government's mistake started at the border. Secondly, in terms of rehabilitation and closure of the mine, the government should have a format for the mine to say we have closed or we have sealed the mine. It should be we have done 1, 2, 3, 4. And after all of that, the government must go and make sure that the company or the mine is closed according to the expectation. That's number 2. Number 3, we know if you have a farm, you've got no right of the minerals underground. They belong to the government. You own the surface, so you have the surface right. So underground is still the government's responsibility because they own the minerals underground. Therefore, this incident, it says, this is your yard, even if you are no longer planting into this yard. But there are 2, 3 people that are big in your yard. Because it's still your yard, you must take responsibility. That's 3. Now, there are 5 types, according to my studies, of illegal miners. One is the group that is mining underground. 2 are the people who are buying equipment for those who are drilling underground. 3 are those who are providing money to those who are buying equipment for the miners underground. 4 are those who are buying now material or gold from those who are providing money to those who are buying equipment for those who are drilling underground. And those who are buying gold or who are collecting gold are now selling international. So you're talking about 5 groups of people who are involved here. And for you to pinpoint one, it's going to be a very difficult task.
All right.
Now, I heard your guest there saying, according to his studies, they are trying to get the illegal miners to cross over to artisanal mining. It is also going to be very difficult.
Okay.
Because, for an example, out of 100 illegal miners, you have plus or minus 20% of the locals. Now, the 80%...
Matthew?
Hello?
Please, if you could wrap, we've run out of time.
Okay, let me conclude. The 80% are foreigners who are not documented. 20% are local. I'm just giving you an example. Out of this 20%, if now you're moving them to artisanal mining, it means you must take them through training center, you must take them through medical. Some of them, they might not go through medical because they are drinking energy stuff to be able to mine underground. So that's my take, Gandhi.
Matthew, thank you very much for your contribution. Really appreciate it. Let's take some WhatsApp messages as well. Good evening, miners. No matter where they come from or go to, not even animals receive such inhuman treatment. This is a disgusting action by the government. Thank you. That message is from Joan. South Africa has a high crime rate. The government must take zero tolerance when it comes to crime, in this case, illegal mining. I'm very much surprised by the people who want our government to turn a blind eye to this criminality, says AB from Kagiso. Good evening. My view is the government is supporting criminality. These people must come out by themselves or tell us who they are supplying the gold to. I don't blame my government. SERI must bring its members to do the job. That's according to Thomas Dovani. the views of our viewers, people who are watching this show. Special thanks to my panel, Khotatso Ntlengetwa, as well as Krista Janse van Rensburg, and of course, Johannes Kagase.